You're breaking the promise to your inner child that gets so excited about trying new things. Imagine all the things you could accomplish if you truly and unconditionally trusted in yourself, being confident in who you are and taking actions towards your goals and dreams. If that sounds amazing to you and you want to know how to get there, keep on watching because I will share my tips and tricks today with you in this video. Okay, let's get into the tips. Tip number 1, do what you say you would do. To build up that self-trust again, one very important step is to keep promises to ourselves. Because if you think about people you trust, is that they keep their word. They say what they said they were going to do. If you have an acquaintance or somebody you know that always says, yeah, I will do that, and they never take action on it, in your mind you're like, yeah, okay, but they're not really trustworthy. And that's the same with ourselves. I think we've all been there where we get excited about a new goal or new thing we want to try and implement into our lives. And then the euphoria from the beginning kind of wears off. We say things like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Next week is also good, stuff like that. And what that does is actually hurting your inner child. You're breaking the promise to your inner child that gets so excited about trying new things and doing things that excite you. So my tip here is to pick one daily habit, one daily task that you can commit to for at least 28 days. Why 28 days? Because our brain needs about 3 to 4 weeks to form a new habit and stick with it, almost like it's on autopilot where we don't think about it anymore. And when I say easy task, really make it easy for you. Sometimes we don't take action because our goal is like so big. So really make it small and doable. What I mean by doing a really easy task, if your goal is to exercise more, prepare the clothes and put them down where you intend to do your workout. Stop there. You get what I mean here. So if our goal is to writing a book, you're not going to sit down on one day and finish the whole book in one day. You're going to maybe write 10 pages a day. Maybe it's 100 words. Maybe it's 1 paragraph. Break it down in small steps that you can think you can actually accomplish and stick with it. And stick with it just for the sake of sticking with it. To be able to trust yourself, to trust your word, and to build that self-trust with your inner child again. I always wanted to start journaling. And for the longest time, I found all the excuses I could, saying, I'll start tomorrow, or if I skip a day, it's not that bad. It only got better when I actually placed down my journal in the space where I wanted to journal and grabbed a pen and put it there. Then I saw it, and over time, where your mind makes the connection with what it's seeing, oh, we sit down and we journal. And from there on, I started journaling for 5 minutes. I started journaling a whole page. And now it's just part of my morning routine where I don't even think about it anymore. But these small, tiny steps can really make a huge difference. Okay, so here's my task for you. For the next 28 days, you're gonna pick one thing that you are sure you're able to stick with it. As small as it seems, pick one thing, come back to this video and comment on it, how it went, if you were able to accomplish it, and maybe we can just make it a very supportive space where we can really encourage each other, because life's hard, right? We need to be there for each other. We need to be supportive. And if you've accomplished to stick with this for 28 days, you can comment, you will get the applause that you deserve. Some inspiration for tasks you might want to think about is drinking your coffee in the morning in peace and quiet, without checking your phone, rolling out your yoga mat and just standing there maybe for a minute, sitting down and write one sentence in your journal. Really make sure to keep the promise to yourself. As I said, you're friends with your friends because you can trust them, you can rely on them. Keep the promise to your inner child. You wouldn't want to be flaky to yourself or anybody else. Tip number 2, take risks. Be okay with being a beginner. Have a curiosity mindset and just go in without expectations. Sometimes we have this huge expectation to be perfect at every single new thing we try out and do. And if you have a hobby that you enjoy doing, it is enough to just enjoy doing it. You don't have to be good at it. You don't have to be perfect at it. If you like drawing, you don't need to be a Picasso, right? You just like drawing and it brings you joy, and that's enough. So if you find something that you always felt curious about, oh, I wish I would try that out, but maybe I'm afraid to be a beginner, be aware of that fact, and then go and do it anyway. This is how we're building self-trust, because we're trying out new things and maybe it's really not for you, but then you learn more about yourself along the way. Something I tried new and I was a little bit nervous at first is aerial yoga. It looks so elegant, and I can tell you the first class I did not look elegant, and even now I'm still a beginner. And for me, this mindset was always hard, because I've been dancing for so long and I think I have a pretty good body awareness. But it's a new skill. It's totally different from dancing. It was a lot of fun, but I had to remind myself that the mindset comes first and then the skill set. You are allowed to be a beginner. You don't have to be perfect right away. I mentioned this in another video, so I'll link it below. But a lot of the times when we think about risks, we hear the term comfort zone. And I have seen a reel, and I unfortunately don't know the original creator, but she said something really mind-blowing. She said, don't think about a comfort zone as something comfortable or cozy. It's just a familiar zone. We're familiar with the patterns that we have, like the anxiety we feel, the self-doubt, the not growing to our full potential. So it's actually really important to break out of this familiar zone, because we want to experience something new. And trying out new things can be really, really enlightening and happy. And I think if you allow yourself to be a beginner, it takes away the pressure and you can just mess up. Messing up can be a lot of fun if you let yourself. Number 3, what's your strength? Build up on what you're already good at. And no, I don't want to hear, I have no strength, I have no skill. That's just not true. Every single one of you has something that you have a very special ability and just a talent, something that you are good at. Work on that and build that up, because if you know that you're good at something, it will be easier to build that confidence. It will be easier to build that self-trust. If you focus on the things you're already good at, you can focus more on your joy doing the thing and will not worry about it so much. If you really don't know what you're good at, I would encourage you to grab a journal and just write down every little thing that you enjoyed doing as a kid. And sometimes there are things that you don't even realize anymore that you were good at. What you can also do is go to a trusted friend or family member and ask them, hey, what do you think is my strength? Next up, practice decision making. Start small and really think of it like a muscle. The more often you do it, the easier it will get. If a friend asks you to pick a restaurant for your weekly lunch date, don't say, whatever, I don't mind. Say what you want to do. And I know sometimes we really don't care, but I think we're trying to give the control to other people so we don't disappoint them, or we kind of please them because they have a favorite restaurant that they've always wanted to go to. So we're not confident enough to speak up. But if you research a good restaurant that you always wanted to try out and your friend asks you, hey, where should we go? Say it right away. Small actions like that builds the confidence within you and builds your self-trust. Because if we always ask and rely on other people, we don't listen to ourselves, we are not speaking our truth. And if you need time to think about it, that's okay. Just tell them, hey, I would like to think about this. I will get back to you tomorrow or in an hour or something. And then really sit with it and ask yourself, Listen to your inner voice and your body, what you really want, because what you want really matters. Tip number 5, success journal. If you've been here a while, you probably heard it before, but I always like to reflect on my daily win from the day prior in my journal routine. And I always say a success is a success is a success. It doesn't matter how small or big. Some days are harder than others, so we can compare our past selves to ourselves today, because we never have the same amount of energy and we never feel the same every single day. Get really focused and grab a journal and write down things that you've accomplished. If you had a hard time, maybe a hard couple of weeks or something, and you feel like you didn't achieve anything or didn't do anything, go back to that journal and read your entry. Sometimes it's getting out of bed, brushing your teeth. That's the biggest win of the day. Sometimes it's, oh, I applied for that job. Oh, I tried this new task that I've always wanted to do. Oh, I stuck for 28 days with my daily habit to rebuild the trust with my inner child. Stuff like that, you can write that down, and it's a really good tool to have on hand when you feel down. Number 6, get comfortable with being alone. Get to know yourself. A lot of the times when we don't trust ourselves, we don't want to spend time with ourselves, just being alone. We'd rather keep busy, being surrounded by other people, and not having to deal with our thoughts or emotions or feelings, and just ourselves, right? And if you really allow yourself to sit with yourself, be quiet, maybe meditate or do something just for yourself, can have a really, really good impact on you. Meditation and breath work are incredible tools to do that. And I can speak from my own experience that I used to hate sitting still. I was always around other people. I was always planning things, hanging out with other people, just so I don't have to sit by myself at home. And meditation, when you just sit in peace and quiet with yourself, it feels uncomfortable. And hearing your inner dialogue might feel uncomfortable too. But don't think of meditation as just, I have to sit still and it's boring, or I don't want to deal with this. Meditation can also be taking a walk and just being in nature, being present. I think a lot of the times that is the missing piece of so many issues we have, because we're just rushing from one thing to the other. Being present when you take a walk, like really actually notice if there's birds chirping, or if you see a squirrel or a butterfly or whatever. It takes your mind off things and can get you really more grounded and find like an inner peace and serenity. And the last tip I have for you is say no when you mean to. That goes back to the practice, the decision making, because saying no and standing up for yourself can feel like a lot if we don't trust ourselves, right? Some of us are people pleasers, and that makes it even harder because we can really emphasize and see where other people are coming from, and we don't want to disappoint them. But listening to your body and just being aware of your own needs is essential, and standing up for yourself and knowing that the right people will accept it. If you have people that give you a hard time because you're standing up for yourself, they might not be your people anyway. I have a video about that and I will link it below in case you want to check it out. You want to be like a trusted friend to yourself so you can heal the relationship with your inner child. And if you're struggling with self-doubt, I think you should watch this video next.